Okay, if you're in a title company or a real estate law firm, you know what I'm talking about. Those mountains of files from old transactions. But what if we stopped looking at them as just a storage problem? What if we started seeing them as buried treasure? Today, we're going to talk about how AI can turn all those years of your firm's hard-won experience into its most powerful, most accessible asset. Let's dive in. Does this sound familiar? You've got a junior staffer, or hey, maybe it's even you, asking a super specific question. Could be about Indiana tax liens, or like you see here, that one-off Wyoming mineral rights deal from a few years back. And just like that, you're digging through old drives, trying to remember who even worked on that file. It's this frantic search for knowledge you know you have somewhere, but you just can't find it. And this really gets to a critical point. Every single firm has its own unique playbook, right? It's a secret sauce you've developed over thousands of deals. This isn't just data, it's literally your competitive edge. But for most firms, that edge is completely locked away, buried in closing files, old emails, and forgotten notes from attorneys. So, what's the real cost of keeping this incredible asset hidden? Well, it's way more than just frustration. We're talking about a direct drain on your bottom line, your efficiency, and your firm's ability to grow. Let's break this down a bit. Every single hour someone spends hunting for an old file, that's an hour not spent on billable work. Simple as that. When you can't find a precedent, you risk giving inconsistent answers to problems that pop up all the time. Training new people takes forever because they're always having to bother senior partners. And, maybe the most painful part? When a seasoned employee leaves, a huge chunk of that institutional knowledge just walks right out the door with them. But what if you could change all that? What if you could give your entire team an internal genius? A tool that has a perfect memory of every single transaction your firm has ever handled. Well, that's exactly what these new AI-powered knowledge assistants are built to do. To put it simply, an AI knowledge assistant is a tool that is trained exclusively on your firm's data. That's the key. It searches everything, your closing files, your emails, all your documents, to give you instant answers based on how you've actually handled things in the past. It's your experience supercharged for efficiency. So, how do you actually get started with this? The good news is, it doesn't have to be some massive, intimidating project. There are really two clear paths you can take. A really simple way to just test the concept, and a more professional approach for when you're ready to see some real results. And this slide lays out those two paths perfectly. On one hand, you've got the simple start. You can literally open up ChatGPT, create a prompt explaining what your firm does, and then just manually feed it info from old files to ask questions. It's free, and it's a fantastic proof of concept. But, it's a lot of manual work, and it just doesn't scale. On the other hand, you have these professional platforms that integrate directly with all your systems. This is where the true power for real efficiency and scalability really lies. So while that simple test is a great way to dip your toes in the water, the real transformation happens with these professional-grade platforms. So let's focus on those, because these are the tools built from the ground up for the security and complexity of legal and title work. First up, let's talk about Termi. It's all about seamless integration. Think of it like a virtual assistant that lives right inside the applications you already use. A new escrow officer could just use its chatbot to ask something like, "Show me how we handled Ohio homestead exemptions last year." And bam, they instantly get examples pulled from your firm's actual work. Next, there's Maxime AI, and its superpower is really deep, secure document search. So if you need to find every single closing where you dealt with a mechanics lien in Florida, for instance, Maxime can scan your entire library and pull up the exact clauses you used. And this is so crucial, as a privately trained copilot, all of your confidential client data always stays secure. And finally, Alexi takes a bit of a different approach by unifying everything. It connects your title production software, your emails, your legal research, and your documents all into a single brain. So when you ask a question, it's not just looking in one place. It pulls from all your different data sources to give you the most comprehensive answer possible. It's really about seeing the whole picture. All right, this all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in practice? Let's dig into some real-world results from firms that are already using this stuff. This first example from a Texas title company is perfect. It really shows the value for multi-state operations. They can now instantly look up precedents for a really tricky Colorado water rights issue. They're not guessing. They are seeing the exact underwriter exceptions and attorney opinions their own firm used in the past. That is a massive confidence booster right there. Now here's a powerful one for training. This Florida law boutique basically turned 15 years of old files into a living, searchable knowledge base.
So now their junior attorneys can help themselves. Instead of interrupting a senior partner, they can just ask the system for the firm's checklist on Georgia 1031 exchanges and get real examples immediately. That's a game changer. And for anyone dealing with complex commercial transactions, check this out. A commercial title agency was able to find a precedent for a hyper-specific scenario, a strip mall in Michigan that had environmental liens. The system didn't just find the file, it pulled up the exact title commitment language they used to solve the problem. Incredible.
Okay, so you've seen the problem, you've seen the solution, and you've seen the proof. The next logical question is, how can my firm get started on this path? Here is a simple 3-step action plan. First, just assess your needs. What are your biggest headaches right now? Are you trying to train new staff faster or handle complex multi-state issues more consistently? Second, prioritize security. I can't say this enough. Make sure any platform you look at complies with attorney-client privilege and all your state's data laws. And third, identify your top 10 most frequently asked questions. If you can solve just those, you'll deliver an immediate and very noticeable return. And it's so important to remember the ultimate goal here. This technology isn't about replacing your experts. It's about amplifying them. The whole point is to take their incredible knowledge and experience and make it instantly accessible and scalable for your entire team. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Right now, at this very moment, what unique expertise, what hard-won solutions, and what critical precedents are buried deep in your firm's files just waiting to be unlocked?